Hungarian investigative reporters, French journalists, the fiancé of murdered Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi, US diplomats in Uganda, and French President Emmanuel Macron. This is just an excerpt from the long list of victims against whom the Pegasus spy software developed by the Israeli NSO group is said to have been used so far. Now the list is growing again. The British government has also become a target of such surveillance, security researchers at Citizen Lab have revealed. In several places they were able to discover signs of a past infection with a Trojan. References to Pegasus were discovered, among other things, in the network of Prime Minister Boris Johnson's office. It is said to have been a mobile phone, but the Cybersecurity Center was never able to find out exactly which device was affected. Accordingly, one gropes in the dark when it comes to the question of which information has been spied out. At least 5 hacks using the spyware against foreign Commonwealth and Development Office phones are also believed to be secure. They are said to have taken place between July 2020 and June 2021. The experts analyzed the IP addresses that the spyware had accessed in order to send information that had been tapped. On this basis, the digital slump at Johnson is traced back to the United Arab Emirates. At the FCO, the tracks lead not only to the UAE, but also to Jordan, Cyprus, and India. It is not the only Pegasus attack that has come to light. There was also a bugging campaign in Catalonia. There, 60 politicians, lawyers, and activists at home and abroad are said to have been attacked. Citizen Lab suspects the government in Madrid of being behind this. A former NSO employee told the New Yorker that one Spanish customer account is registered with the company. According to the NSO group, it only works with governments and authorities, but refuses to name its customers specifically. It's not the first time traces of spyware have been found on the phones of Catalan politicians. In 2020, it became known that Roger Torrent, the then Speaker of the Catalan Regional Parliament, and other pro-independence elected representatives had been monitored. The question of the status of the region has always been a hot topic domestically and threatened to escalate in a referendum. With a turnout of 43%, the vote saw a 90% majority for independence from Spain, but the vote, conducted in turbulent conditions, was declared unconstitutional by the country's constitutional court. Several politicians from the separatist movement were charged, some of whom left the country or were imprisoned, followed by later releases. Madrid also temporarily suspended the self-government of the region. This was allowed again in 2018 after separatist parties won a majority in regional elections. Relations between them and the Spanish government remain shaky. Pegasus should be used in at least 45 different countries. And although connections to authoritarian regimes keep popping up, US authorities and a number of other democracies are said to be among the customers. For the NSO group, the newly discovered cases could mean additional trouble. Affected activists, but also the tech giants Meta, you know them still as Facebook, and Apple are taking legal action against the company, which exploited gaps in the mobile operating system iOS and the messenger WhatsApp to enable its customers to spread the Trojan. There is criticism from investors and the attempt to establish further deals with US authorities and is said to be increasingly faltering according to industry insiders. According to the New Yorker, the company is being attacked by a number of politically motivated advocacy groups, many of whom have known anti-Israel stances. We have always cooperated with government investigations when there have been credible allegations and improved the security measures for our technologies. CEO Shalev Julio is quoted as saying that he never expected this company to become so famous. I also never thought that we would be so successful, and I never thought that it would be so controversial. What I find very interesting is that a company can just come up with something like this, which is a threat to national security, and just sell it everywhere. I am not so sure how this in other countries works and why this works in Israel. So that would be an interesting question for another day. And I'll see you in my next video. Bis gleich.